have a bit of an unconventional definition of AI. The word AI is actually a terrible name. Intelligence is something we'd like to emulate in a machine, but the word artificial has a certain negative connotation that it's fake, that it's not real. What we actually do is what I like to call computational intelligence, is that we're using computers to compute, to do the computational aspects of intelligence.
Artificial intelligence is the notion that the sum of all the knowledge that we have available to us will somehow define a level of intelligence or a level of consciousness, if you will.
Most people, when you talk to them about artificial intelligence, they think that we're creating intelligent machines that someday are going to be just like you and me.
Something that emulates what a human being would be. And when we consider how we look at data today, we have a lot of data, but it's still not enough to define what that true artificial intelligence is. We don't have something that will decide enough of a sense that it can generate its own answers, if you will.
My view is that we create the illusion of intelligence, because what you think intelligence is has no relationship to what we're actually doing behind the scenes.
So if we consider how AI functions in our world today, we have only enough information based on the questions that we know how to ask and the way that we can verbalize that information.
The philosophy in our field is more like the ends justify the means. In other words, it doesn't matter what we do as long as the end result is correct. You want a program that plays chess, that's great. All you care about is a very strong chess player.
We have a limited vocabulary, so of course what ends up happening is we have a limited source of data. And although we think we have an infinite source of data that keeps coming to us, we are finite still in the way we process it.
If I fool you into thinking it's intelligent, then I've done my job. But I'm not creating intelligence, I'm just creating the illusion of intelligence.
They look like their own answers, but until an artificial intelligence fully understands its mortality, if you will, in other words, it has to have a need to be creative, that is when we will see true artificial intelligence.
Now, what is the future of life, at least on this planet? That's a separate question that was raised. In order for us to communicate to our devices, we need to use our fingers to type things in. Technology is developing as we are now talking to our devices, and that's a lot quicker on many levels to transmit information to our devices. So imagine if we now have devices that could read our thoughts. So we would essentially think it, and the device would know what our thoughts are. And the device would know exactly what you're thinking. I think the biggest sort of obstacle that we have right now in terms of that is the man-machine interface.
I think one of the important problems there is that we, as humans, and as humans who don't want to be replaced, think about intelligence in a way that's very, very anthropomorphic. And so when we contemplate something that is an intelligent agent, that is an unembodied intelligence, or embodied in silicon or distributed cloud-based network, that we'll hold it to a test of, does this look like me?
So I imagine as we start to decode the way our brain works, we can also understand the electrophysiology that's responsible for communicating and forming thoughts.
Is this mind similar to my mind?
But I think even then, that's still clunky and very sort of cumbersome. So I think when that interface is made, we're going to see massive changes in the way society works.
We invent tools to do things better than we do.
And we've used technology to come up with a better solution, a much better solution than what biology developed. Look at a jet. It can go higher, faster, carry more people, more cargo than anything nature has ever done. Technology, the technological solution is far superior.
They can do narrow tasks better than we do. They may be able to do broad tasks better than we do. And if we don't entertain that they may do it in a different way, then we're just being vain, anthropomorphizing, and being itself.
Man has always wanted to fly. And when we think about flying, we can look outside and we can see birds. And biology has done an amazing job of evolving animals that can fly. And how do the birds fly? They flap their wings. And there's good reasons for doing that in physics. And so when man decided they wanted to look for solutions to how could man fly, if you go back 100 years, you'll see all these clever and crazy ideas about building a machine that would flap its wings. You'd see people who would put big artificial wings on their arms and they would flap and jump off of cliffs and have a very unfortunate disaster. But biology showed us a solution. We mimicked it. Turned out to be harder than we thought. But then people said, why should we be bound by what biology came up with it? That's only one solution. And of course today, we don't fly by flapping our wings. We have jets.
Tools are things that allow us to do a task that we haven't done very well traditionally, such that we needed a tool to do, not only to enable us to do a task better, but to do a task better. That is why we do it.
So computers are incredibly creative now, but creativity is not your definition of creativity. So I mentioned chess. I like to use games because most people can relate to them. If you watch a very strong grandmaster chess program at work and it comes up with an amazing move, you can look at it and you can say, wow, it's beautiful. It's the height of creativity. And to the computer, there's no creativity in it. It didn't do a thing. It didn't lift a finger. What the computer is doing is looking at billions of possibilities. And it chooses the one that has the most score, the highest evaluation, if you will.
And artificial intelligence is a tool. It is a method, a set of methods for ultimately things that we want that were too complex up to now for the types of tools that we had until now. So it's no different than any other tool. But all tools are potentially dangerous.
Yeah, that is our biggest problem right now. And if we allow machines to become, let's call it better than us, if you will, they will eventually decide that that their knowledge is superior, and they have to take over, if you will. We do it all the time. We see it all the time in our human nature. Is that when we decide that we are more knowledgeable, more intelligent, we start to make decisions.
But in a broader sense, when we mean artificial intelligence, we need to differentiate artificial intelligence from artificial general intelligence and from, let's say, strong AI. So artificial intelligence, some kind of man-made tool set that takes on a task that was otherwise the purview only of an intelligent mind. And then artificial general intelligence is something that isn't narrowly construed, that does one task well, but rather can think about what task is necessary, do that, put it into a context, something that is generally intelligent and can do something like what we think of as special about what we do.
If you want to say that, wow, that move looks really beautiful or really creative, that's your judgment. So the computer is just saying, I'm looking at a billion possibilities, I'm going to choose the one that gets the highest score, that's it. There's no notion of creativity.
So the notion of creativity in an artificial intelligence, because once again, we run into these infinite loops, and our own thinking, we will obviously push it into our own development and technology.
Additionally, if you ask a sufficiently large number of humans, especially across party lines or discipline lines, as to who is intelligent, not all other humans are going to fall into that category of intelligent or generally intelligent or usefully and applicably intelligent. And we might think of that as just an insult or a joke, but in fact, that is our mind. That is how we often think.
I think the fundamental problem is that ego functions on that forward aspect of our personalities, and that is our survival mechanism.
And will we extend the courtesy to someone on the different side of a political aisle as being truly intelligent? Will we extend that courtesy to someone rendered in silicon?
We don't always make the right choice, and that can be disastrous for an artificial intelligence, once again, because we see it all the time in our own thoughts. We can lead ourselves very quickly down a rabbit hole that is just an infinite loop in our own mind, and it will continue spinning and spinning and spinning, and we'll always bring ourselves back to this infinite loop that shuts us down. And we do it quite often, right?
Right now, of course, humans dominate computers in the sense that anything that's important humans do, the computers don't. And the other extreme down the road is where we have so much trust in computers that we let computers do all the work and we become, let's say, more lazy. But in reality, I think the right approach, at least for the foreseeable future, is a symbiotic relationship. When I talk to people about AI, I don't call it artificial intelligence. I call it augmented intelligence. Why? Because the computers and the algorithms that we develop can be used to augment or help human decision making. Let's use an example of, say, a medical doctor.